We are getting down to the wire for maybe the most unprecedented election day in all of American history within the next few days. And Donald Trump is still finding ways to shake up the campaign trail in a manner that's making people's heads explode. Namely, through sitting down with famed podcaster Joe Rogan for a 3-hour interview to talk about everything under the sun. Their love for professional wrestling, every one of his craziest campaign ideas, why the media hates him, and so much more. But the craziest part is that there are very key policy initiatives that were introduced by Donald Trump in this interview that people seem to not really be paying attention to. I can't even really blame them. It's a 3-hour interview. What everyone seems to be missing from Donald Trump's interview with Joe Rogan is that this is a campaign and platform ideas, policy initiatives, a presidency for everyone.
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Yes.
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure. But why not? Because ready?
That in and of itself, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, sure, why not? How many times do I tell you guys that the founding fathers literally revolted to create a new civilization when they were being taxed too much on stamps and tea? So the fact that this is even a realistic idea, which it is from the Trump campaign, floating the idea to end the federal income tax, which was always, by the way, supposed to be a temporary solution to government recession in the midst of wartime, is insane. Who wouldn't want to vote for that? No one. No one.
Our country was the richest relatively in the 1880s and 1890s.
That's true.
A president who was assassinated named McKinley. He was the tariff king. He spoke beautifully of tariffs. His language was really beautiful. We will not allow the enemy to come in and take our jobs and take our factories and take our workers and take our families unless they pay a big price. And the big price is tariffs. And he'd speak like that, but he was right. And then around in the early 1900s, they switched over stupidly to, frankly, an income tax. And you know why? Because countries were putting a lot of pressure on America. We don't want to pay tariffs. Please don't.
Yep.
Believe me, they control our politicians.
So don't put the pressure on foreign countries, put the pressure on your own citizens. And it's been that way really since the early 1900s, to the point that American citizens are being taxed to death. Not even for valid reasons, by the way, because I totally am of the understanding that some of your taxes do make sense to pay for some essential government services. I'm not a total anarchist, but I read this tax season, something that made me want to stab my eyes out with a fork, that like 99% of federal income taxes don't even go towards funding the government. It goes towards paying the interest off the national debt. The interest off the national debt. Not even the actual national debt. This isn't a vitriolic, angry, divisive platform. It's just two people sitting down and talking like normal human beings. And I can't tell you how many comments I've seen now go viral on Twitter or other social media platforms of people saying, I'm disgusted in myself that I let myself believe everything the media told me about this man over the last several years, because he's not this hateful, Nazi, bigoted, vitriolic, angry man. He's just a normal human being.
Now, I will say this. It's a lot easier if you're a Democrat. If I were a Democrat,
you get a lot of positive press.
I would get a lot of positive press.
No, it's a creepy, corrupt business, and the media, to a large extent, acts as a propaganda arm for the Democratic Party.
It's not even believable.
Yeah, it's bizarre to watch, and most young people, I think, are aware of it. I think most boomers still, unfortunately, read the newspapers and believe in CNN.
The fact that this conversation is even happening is incredible. Obviously, people like me, people like Charlie Kirk, people like Brandon Tatum and Brett Cooper, and all of the social media side of commentators have been telling you this for a very long time within the realm of American politics, that the mainstream legacy media, be that written print media, magazines, newspapers, radio, some podcasts, but largely radio, television, etc., these are all being used as a propaganda arm, essentially for the state, which is largely controlled by the radical left at this point. We are looking at a time of a ministry of truth, where every news outlet is putting out the exact same headline, is saying the exact same thing on air, is fact-checking people 6 months early for something that turns out to be true on social media and everywhere else, to the point that they have become a propaganda arm for the left. Not just the Democrat Party in isolation, as Joe Rogan mentioned there, but for the left. And the fact that we are talking about how young people get this, but the establishment doesn't, in front of tens of millions of people on this podcast, shows me there is a seismic shift happening in the American voter demographic, proving that our real divide in understanding where America is at right now isn't even really between right versus left. It is a generational divide.
But it's getting younger. Let me
Yes.
tell you, it's getting for us, for a conservative.
Yes.
And you know, I don't
But you know
even,
why
I
that
consider
is?
myself
It's
a person.
the internet. It's because the internet's
think
giving
so.
people information that they're not getting from anywhere else. And they like the Very Fine People hoax, the Russiagate hoax, all these different things that they've done, they tried to pin on you. That's like, it's a clear distortion of what you actually
The
said.
bloodbath hoax.
Yes.
I was talking about
Yes.
the auto industry.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
a
Yep.
bloodbath because Japan and
course.
China are taking our auto. And I
Yes.
said, it's a bloodbath. They said, oh, he used the word bloodbath.
He said, if you
think
don't
of
win,
somebody,
it's going to be a bloodbath
that's
because
right,
they're going to
that's
take over.
right.
That's exactly what you
it's a terrible
said.
thing they do.
But that's the problem with propagandists, because they take things out of context, and ultimately what they do is they diminish their own credibility because people don't want to listen to them anymore because they see that they've done that, and they
So where are people getting their news instead? Just honest assessment of where the American people are at right now. The internet. They're getting their information from interviews like this one, from live streams like the one we put on, from podcasts like The Charlie Kirk Show or the comment section with Brett Cooper. People are distrusting the institutions for a very valid reason. It's not some crazy right-wing conspiracy theory, but because people are seeing through the motives and the agenda of the propaganda of the mainstream media, and they're learning it's okay to discern truth for themselves. Tell me that talking point does not apply to every American right now. It doesn't matter if you are a liberal or a conservative. It doesn't matter if you have historically voted for a Democrat or a Republican for president of the United States. When you are hearing these people say this, it should resonate into your very core, because this is an American problem that all 330 million of us are dealing with, and frankly, billions more around the planet, but that's a different conversation for another time. And it should terrify you to your very bones that no way, shape, or form is this conversation happening on the other side of this presidential campaign and race right now. You will never see Kamala Harris talk about the need for social media influencers.
yes.
You know, shows like yours. So I have a son who's very smart and tall, Barron, right? And
It's so obvious, by the way, that Barron is picking all of these podcast interviews for his dad to do because they are all like the favorite shows among young men. It's hilarious.
he knows all about you. He knows about guys I never heard of. He said, Dad, you don't know how big they are. They're big. You know, he told me how big. I said, who the hell is he? Like Ross. I did. He said,
Aiden
Dad,
Ross?
he's a great guy. I mean, guys that are doing, it's a whole new world out there.
It is a whole new world demanding a president of the United States who can cut through the propaganda and cut through the noise to talk directly to the American people. And I cannot recommend, if you guys haven't already made prayer a part of your daily routine, downloading the world's largest Christian prayer app, Hallow, Hallow. They have more than 10,000 original prayers, meditations, history podcasts, lifestyle podcasts, mental health resources, everything you can possibly imagine that has totally transformed my prayer life and that of almost every single one of you as well. Hallow is offering you a 3-month free trial to all of the incredible content on their platform. If you go right now to hallow.com/Isabel, HALLOW.com/Isabel. And our friends over at Public Square, America's largest leading marketplace for small businesses that are all pro-family, pro-faith, and pro-freedom, and pro-actual science, by the way, actually got their start out in the beautiful state of California. They are changing how we spend money in America one day at a time, realizing that where we spend our dollars is where culture is going to thrive. If you are looking for businesses to support that share your values, check them out at publicsquare.com. And if you are a business owner of any kind, make sure you add your small business to Public Square to connect with customers who share your values too. I'm so glad, by the way, that there are companies that are trying to get to the actual truth of matters like this and in standing for women in general. Just one of which happens to be my amazing friends over at Garn-U. Garn-U is the only period product company on the market that insists only women can menstruate. Thank you for that, by the way, Garn-U, because we need a whole lot more of that. And their pads, their tampons, and their menstrual cup products are all 100% organic and completely non-toxic. I have noticed a huge change in my cycle since switching to Garn-U products, and I cannot begin to recommend them enough to you, especially after we just found out that most leading tampon brands have arsenic and lead in them if you're buying them at Target or the grocery store. You can get a discount on your first order to Garn-U if you click the link in the description of this video. And please, please, please embrace the same courage that they are in standing up for real womanhood in 2024 and beyond.